Hi, Coach Jim here, and today I want to talk a little bit about how to start a PHC program inexpensively. And excuse me, I've got some notes, but it keeps me on track. So, for the most part, I'm going to make a couple assumptions. The first one being that you've already got some kind of a business, either a turf pit business or a tree business, and you've already got some kind of business and financial infrastructure to handle things like overhead and taxes and all that jazz. So I'm not going to get into that side of a PHC business. We're going to talk about the technical side. And for most people, when they think of PHC, unfortunately, they may think of using a large sprayer to spray lots of places, like all these trees that are around me, and you do a lot of that on a daily basis. However, if you really boil down PHC, plant health care, to its basic ingredients, there's really only 3 parts to that. The first part is plant knowledge, understanding what plants need, what affects them, where they should grow, all that kind of stuff. The second part is about the pests, what they do, what their life cycles are, and what ways you can use to control them. And the third way is what ways you can use and how to deliver those control measures to gain an effective control of those pests. So let's look at those 3. The first one is plant knowledge, and that's just an understanding of what's best for the plant in terms of how it grows, what you can do for it as far as cultural methods and so on and so forth. And a lot of that is gained just by experience, being in the industry for a while, but there's classes you can take at a local college. I teach at Columbus State, so I teach a lot of that stuff. Many places around the country, there's ways where you can gain that. You can gain that through industry associations that have access to books and videos and things of that nature. So there's lots of ways you can gain knowledge about plant needs and the plants themselves, whether they're trees or shrubs. The second is pests, and you gain that same kind of knowledge from the same places. Experience, being out in the field for a long time. Also, there's local colleges that have classes in that. Again, I teach one of those classes. Or you can gain it from places like TCIA or ISA that allow you access to online information, online classes, and books and videos and all kinds of things that you can gain to gain information about everything that's going on in the pest world and how to control it. Usually your extension service in your state puts out some kind of an informational newsletter that comes to you on a regular basis that tells you what's going on at that time and again how to control it. So the third way is, how do you deliver effective control measures to control these pests? And that really comes down to 2 different camps. One camp is kind of the old traditional method where you fill up a very large sprayer and you go out and you spray everything on the property, everything you see behind me, whether it needs it or not, and hopefully you gain control of the pest. And that worked for a while, but it doesn't work long term. True plant health care has to do with using things called integrated pest management and using your brain to effectively control the pests where they are and being very surgical about it. Now, IPM, or integrated pest management, really has a few components. One of them is scouting, being able to look at a property, figure out what's going on and when it's going on, and knowing when to apply the control. The second one is knowing what controls those should be that fit into your scheme, whether they're chemical, cultural, mechanical, or biological controls. 4 different kinds of controls. And another way is knowing when is enough. When do I start the controls? When do I not start the controls? A lot of that depends upon your client and their tolerance for damage in the landscape. And you knowing when you should be proactive, when you can be reactive, depending upon the pest and what's going on in the plants. So you want to choose the best controls you can based upon the situations. And a lot of times with a true PHC program, We're not talking about spraying everything. We're just talking about spraying the plants that need to be treated. If you're spraying, there's biological controls, there's ways you can inject material into the soil, and that's where the inject comes in. There's ways to be very surgical with what you're doing. And those are the really important things to keep in mind. So when you really step back and think about it, most of the things you need to know are educational. So like I said, you can get with the TCIA, ISA, local colleges, online videos. YouTube's a great place, and learn what you need to learn from there. People in the industry are willing to help. Get with seminars and do everything you can to learn. That's the first thing. Next comes the equipment. What kind of stuff are you going to need? Do you really need a giant sprayer? No, not really. If you want to be surgical, you're going to need some kind of a pickup truck, and that's where I assume your company can already provide that. You already have one. You can use that. Secondly, you're going to need a way of delivering some kind of a chemical. You're going to have to use chemicals at some point. There's a lot of things you can do culturally and mechanically, like physically picking a bug off and squashing it. That's mechanical pest control. Or some kind of a biological thing where you release a predator or some kind of an antagonistic organism into the environment to biologically control the pest. But you're going to have to use chemicals at some point because there's no other options. So you need a way to deliver that. One way is a sprayer. And what I would advocate and encourage you to do is get a smaller pickup truck sprayer. One that has a bigger water tank, and then some smaller tanks that you can chemically mix small amounts of material just for certain numbers of properties, maybe only one property. That way you don't have a lot of excess laying around and you won't waste materials. A lot of different companies make those things. In my mind, Green Pro makes some of the best ones. And I'm not saying that just because they help me out. I'm saying that because I really believe that. And they make one, which I'm going to reference a little later, that I think is perfectly set up for a true PHC program. But you just need a smaller sprayer. And I also think you're going to need the inject, because that tool will allow you to do things a sprayer can't do faster, more effectively, cheaper, that allows you to then gain more profitability, as I've been saying all along. That's an important tool to have on your truck. It can help you make those payments for the sprayer every day when you go out there. And then there's a whole host of things you can use, and I've talked about these on other videos, whole host of places where you can use that inject that you can't necessarily use the sprayer as effectively on. So remember, it's not about the volume, it's about the concentration of the chemical and getting it into the tree, and what's the best way to do that. Okay, so remember, it's that concentration and the ability to reach difficult places. Okay, well, here's the equipment costs for starting a PHC program. The first one is the Inject soil injector. That is $1,795, and that includes a cleaning tank, a 1-gallon product tank, and a 6-inch needle. And what I would really recommend too, if for $165 you get the 4-gallon backpack tank. Second of all would be the small pickup truck sprayer, and Green Pro Solutions has one. It's very similar to what I think you need. It's called the Modular Side Mount Systems Unit. It has 2 tanks, a very powerful pump for its size, a reel, and all the other jazz that goes along with it. And that one is $79.95, and that's a really good deal for a pickup truck sprayer like that. And since it is modular, you can actually take the tanks out and leave the pump and the reel actually attached to the side and have the whole bed of the truck to use, and then you can put the tanks back in later on. Great for a multi-use type truck. The third thing I think is really important to have is a TCIA membership, which is the Tree Care Industry Association. And for $195 a year, you get access to a PHC technician training program, discounts on all kinds of publications and videos and things to do with training, as well as access to hands-on seminars and networking opportunities. It's a wonderful thing to have, and for your education, which serves the whole other side of this issue. So there you go with all the costs. Okay, so to sum up, if you had to and you really got limited funds, just get the inject. You can put it in a bare pickup truck, you can carry jugs around water with you, you can use the water from the client, you can carry your chemical with you, and you can mix on site for every property you do. I would definitely tell you to get that backpack unit, because that makes a huge difference in how far you can go with one mixture. It'll be great for you. So use the inject. Get that first. Get started, because that will help you pay for the sprayer if you need to. And then, even more important than any of these things, just get started. Just do it. If all you can afford is the inject, just do that. But get started. Start learning. Start making some money to help you pay for upgrades. Just do it. That's the biggest step, is just getting started. So, until next time, this is Coach Jim. See ya.